Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your source material articles, notes, expert analysis, and pull out the key insights you need. Today, we're jumping way back to 1972, to look at a really fascinating film. It's Woody Allen's Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex, but Were Afraid to Ask.
Yeah, and it's more than just a movie, isn't it? It feels like this, well, it's chaotic, high-stakes, artistic experiment.
Exactly. We're diving deep into how people saw this film back then because it's super important contextually. It landed right after Bananas in '71, which did pretty well.
Right, Bananas was successful, but maybe more conventional. With this 1972 film, Allen seems to be deliberately taking risks. It's like a rapid-fire test drive for his style.
Trying things out.
Totally. He's honing that unique voice, that directorial style that, later brought him huge success, both critically and commercially.
And the source material for this film is just wonderfully weird. The structure, if you can call it that, just lifts the chapter titles from Dr. David Reuben's huge self-help book.
The book was everywhere back then.
Oh, yeah. Titles like, Do Aphrodisiacs Work? Or, What Are Sex Perverts?
But that's pretty much where the connection ends, right? He just uses these titles as, like, springboards.
Completely independent comedic launch pads. You end up with 7 segments that are wildly different from each other.
So our mission today really is to unpack this experiment. The source material we've got makes it clear. You gotta applaud Allen's willingness to push boundaries, but... Well, the final movie is definitely a bit of a patchy affair. That's the phrase used. So we're not just summarizing plots. We're trying to figure out which risks actually paid off for his career later on and which ones just kind of added to the jumble.
Okay, so let's look at it through that lens, career development. If it's a roadmap, where's the clearest proof of him growing as a director? Critics seem to agree that the patchwork thing actually let him shine when he was spoofing specific genres.
The diversity is absolutely key, and probably the strongest segment, the one showing the most, technical skill, was why do some women have trouble reaching an orgasm?
The Italian homage piece, which looks and feels totally different from everything else. It's got Woody Allen as Fabrizio and Louise Lasser as Gina. They're newlyweds who find they can only connect in very public places.
Yeah, spectacular is the word. And what's really fascinating is the control he shows. The review we looked at points out it was shot entirely in Italian with subtitles, a deliberate, loving nod to directors like Fellini and Antonioni.
Like a proper homage.
Absolutely. The reviewer praised his grasp of technical style things like deep focus, how he uses space in those long conversation scenes. It's quite sophisticated.
That feels like a massive jump from this sort of slapstick stuff in Bananas, right? He's controlling the visuals, letting characters just be in the space. And it's also one of the rare times Woody Allen plays the cool guy, doesn't he? Not the usual neurotic clown persona, more like a European art house lead.
He pulls it off. It showed he could step outside that comedic box, use subtler acting, use the setting more, and that confidence, I think, connects directly to the other huge success in the film, the bit everyone remembers.
Gotta be What Is Sodomy?
The Gene Wilder segment.
An absolute classic.
Totally.
Wilder plays Dr. Doug Ross, a psychiatrist who, develops this very deep connection with his patient's sheep.
A woolly beauty, as the critic nicely put it.
Yes.
And Wilder is just fantastic. Total commitment to the absurdity. But the source notes also say this is a win for Allen as a director, too. He shows restraint. He just frames Wilder and lets the actor's unique mix of, mania and sincerity carry it all.
Right. Directing that kind of performance is different from doing physical comedy yourself.
Yeah.
It showed he could work really well with amazing actors.
Exactly. A different skill set. And it proved he had it.
Okay, so 2 clear breakthroughs. The Italian segment showing technical flair and the Wilder bit showing he can direct great actors with restraint. But the film overall is still called patchy, even though it's recommended. That suggests some of the other weirder bits maybe didn't land so well.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus. It looks like when Allen leaned more into just pure absurdity without maybe enough comedic structure underneath, the quality dipped. And there's a point made in a listener comments related to the review with segmented films, sketch shows. It's hard for the audience to kind of settle in. Too much change. And if a few segments don't have that immediate hook, that strong comedic idea, they just feel a bit chaotic, maybe pointless.
So which ones were flagged as the weakest?
The reviewer singles out 3. The Jester, the Cross-Dressing Man, and the Mad Scientist segments just didn't have enough humor or invention, apparently.
Okay, let's break those down. The Jester segment, that's based on Do Aphrodisiacs Work, Woody plays a, quote, rubbish jester.
He's trying to give the queen, Lynn Redgrave, a love potion, while the king, Anthony Quayle, is asleep.
And the problem was?
Execution, it seems, felt stilted. Too much reliance on just the historical costumes and setting, not enough actual jokes. It didn't fully commit to being a medieval spoof, so the pacing felt awkward, just kind of dragged for 4 minutes.
Right. Then the mad scientist spoof are the findings. Accurate. This one was supposed to be a parody of old Universal horror movies.
Yeah, it has Alan as a researcher and a reporter played by Heather McRae visiting Dr. Bernardo the Great John Carradine.
Okay, classic setup.
But here it goes full-on surreal, maybe too much. They find out Dr. Bernardo is, well, completely nuts. They escape.
And then?
And then they get chased across the countryside by the doctor's latest creation, which is a giant breast.
Hold on. A giant breast.
Yeah.
Chasing them.
A terrifying, towering giant breast, yes.
Wow, okay. That image, the giant breast bouncing over the fields, that is pure early Alan surrealism. It's definitely memorable. But why did the critic feel this failed where, say, the sheep segment succeeded?
It lacked grounding, perhaps. The Wilder sketch works because Wilder's performance, however absurd the situation, feels rooted in a kind of human emotion. The giant breast is just spectacle, pure, bizarre spectacle.
Ah, I see. It's representing absurdity rather than exploring it through character.
Exactly. The critic felt that while the commitment to being weird was there, it ended up feeling messy, confusing, the pacing was off, and it didn't quite hit the parody target.
Gotcha. And the last weak one, the cross-dressing man segment, are transvestites homosexual?
Right. This involves a middle-aged guy trying on women's clothes while he's visiting his daughter's potential in-laws. He panics about being discovered, climbs out a window,
Oh, dear.
gets mugged, the police get involved. It was seen as the most underdeveloped bit, basically just a mediocre slapstick sketch that maybe should have been cut.
Okay, so 3 segments really struggled with pacing, tone, or just not having a strong enough idea. But even with those weaker spots, there were a couple of other highlights that showed his skill with structured comedy.
Absolutely. The 1950s game show spoof, What's My Perversion, was seen as a success precisely because it had structure.
Right, the game show format.
Yeah, you have the celebrity panel trying to guess a guest's secret perversion. They pay $5 for every wrong guess. It's a great high-concept setup.
And it ends memorably.
Hilariously, it ends with a viewer calling in who happens to be a rabbi acting out his perversion live on TV. The humor comes from shattering that rigid game show format with shocking content.
Structure versus chaos. Got it.
Yeah.
And then the film closes with that big sci-fi mission control spoof, managing a date like it's a space launch.
Yeah, another high-concept piece, and this one's carried by amazing casting, too.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Tony Randall as the controller, Burt Reynolds as a technician.
Seriously, Burt Reynolds.
Yep. And they have different teams, like a stomach team, a sexual performance team, all coordinating to make sure the date goes well.
That sounds brilliant.
And the segment has that moment. The film's most talked about bit of pure surrealism, Woody Allen himself appears as a single sperm cell.
Right. In the staging area waiting for the launch command.
Exactly. That cut, from the high-tech control room down to this microscopic level, it shows his growing skill with quick visual jokes and mashing up big ideas. High-concept juxtaposition.
Okay, so if the success is the Italian piece, Wilder, the sci-fi bit are really strong, and the failures, Jester, Giant Breast are messy and underdeveloped, it's interesting that the reviewer still strongly recommends the film overall. Why forgive the patchiness?
And this is where we kind of connect it all back to his career path. The film's seen as important, critically speaking, not maybe for its overall score as a single movie, but as this roadmap, a portfolio experiments showing his development as a director.
So the recommendation isn't necessarily for the movie as a perfectly consistent piece of entertainment, but for the potential it showed, what it unlocked for him.
Precisely. The reviewer really emphasizes that this film shows Alan's confidence growing. There are very nice stylistic touches that are a step up from Bananas. It's the moment he seems to realize, okay, I can do different genres. I can direct a huge talent like Gene Wilder to give an amazing performance. I can handle a big sci-fi parody.
So the lesson maybe isn't about whether a segmented film works perfectly for an audience, which, as those comments noted, can be tough.
Right, hard to settle into.
But it's more about the artistic need for him to do it. He had to throw all these ideas at the wall, this chaotic 7-part deep dive, just to figure out which tools actually worked for his unique voice.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. The film's real legacy might be that it served its purpose for the filmmaker. It showed his range, his ability to parody genres technically, his willingness to take risks. And the reviewers suggest this directly paved the way for more focused, more successful projects later on. They specifically mention Sleeper.
Ah, which used that sci-fi parody idea but built a whole cohesive story around it.
Exactly. He took the successful experiments, the breakthroughs from this film, and built something more structured with them.
So for you, the listener, that's the breakdown of this really pivotal, if kind of chaotic film. You've got the experimental structure, those technical wins like the Italian Homage, the sheer brilliance of the Gene Wilder segment.
And also those bizarre moments, the giant breast, Woody as a sperm that define this early risk-taking phase. And understanding the failures is just as important, seeing where the line was between surrealism and just messy.
It really does raise an interesting question for you to think about, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When an artist is clearly finding their feet, experimenting, taking risks, how should we judge the result?
Yeah, do you judge it on its overall consistency? Or do you focus more on those breakthrough moments, the flashes of brilliance, the confidence it demonstrates for the future?
What stands out more to you from this whole deep dive? Was it the proof that he could direct different styles? Or maybe the hilarious ways some of the weirder ideas didn't quite work, showing the limits he was testing?
Something to mull over, definitely, as you think about how artists evolve. Sometimes you need that chaos to find clarity.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Until next time.